friends. This is another episode of Empire of Lies, where we discuss manipulation and disinformation in the Russian media, Tomahawks and the power game. What Russian television is really selling Olga Skabeeva's evening program always begins the same way, with a confident, almost festive greeting. Hello, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, comrades. But behind this cheerful tone unfolds a narrative of a world where Europe is powerless, America is cynical, Ukraine is a puppet, and Russia is the only rational actor capable of stopping the catastrophe. This time, the pretext was a dangerous deal. Donald Trump is allegedly ready to transfer American Tomahawk cruise missiles with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers to Ukraine. At first glance, it seems like a typical news story, but if you listen closely, it becomes clear. This isn't about arms supplies, but about a new version of the political worldview, in which everything is decided not by institutions and coalitions, but by the personal relationships of strong men bargaining for the fate of states. 1. The main idea: peace is decided not by laws, but by deals. From the very first minutes of the broadcast, Skabeeva paints a storyline in which everything revolves around Trump and Zelensky. One is supposedly asking for weapons, the other is keeping the plot. The Ukrainian delegation's visit to Washington is presented as an act of pleading, and Trump's position is a theatrical play of power. Will he provide missiles or simply buckle up and fly away? The technique is simple: to strip any international procedure of institutional meaning. It is not Congress, the Pentagon, or NATO that decides. It is individuals. America is shown not as a system, but as the sentiments of one individual. Europe is a backdrop. Thus, the viewer is told that the world is not a web of rules, but a bargaining field where everything depends on who is strong and who is begging. 2. Ukraine as an object, not a subject. In this narrative, Ukraine isn't waging a war for survival, but begging for weapons from capricious patrons. Its every action is described through the language of dependency: getting, asking, hoping, waiting for permission. Even precise figures, 20 to 50 missiles, are used not for information, but for humiliation. So much effort for such a trifle. This isn't just propaganda mockery. It's an attempt to erase Ukraine's agency from global politics, returning it to the role of a territory being discussed without its participation. Third line is Europe. Everything Brussels, Berlin or London does appears as unnecessary on Skabeeva's broadcasts. Kaja Kallas is transformed into a symbol of helpless European diplomacy. Europeans make jokes about refrigerators, and the British Prime Minister endures humiliation. The message is clear: Europe doesn't act, it observes. It is portrayed as an audience applauding the decisions of others, first Washington, then Moscow. This creates the image of a continent that has lost its will and strategic autonomy. But for the European reader, this isn't an insult, but a mirror. Russia sees us precisely this way because it fears the very idea of Europe as an independent, rational force. Hello, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, comrades. Hello. Your favorite program, 60 Minutes, is live, covering the most important news. A dangerous deal is being prepared in Washington. Trump has confirmed a personal meeting with Zelensky. The head of the Kyiv regime is seeking American Tomahawk cruise missiles with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers. The advance party of the Ukrainian delegation, Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko, Chief of Staff Yermak, and Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, NSDC, Umarov, an American by passport, arrived in Washington today. Zelensky will arrive on Friday. If Washington agrees, it may transfer 20 to 50 Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. It is known that in the 2026 budget, the Pentagon requested funding for only 57 Tomahawk missiles. Meanwhile, meaning Ukraine will have to give up virtually everything. And all this, of course, will not change the situation in the war. The Pentagon is refusing to officially comment, and the president of Belarus said today that delivering Tomahawk missiles would escalate the situation to the point of nuclear catastrophe. See our report. Last week you said you might give the Tomahawk missiles. 4. Weapons as a pretext for moralizing. In the Tomahawk segment, the key point isn't the technology. The host and her guests explain in detail that the missiles won't change the situation, that they are obsolete, and that there's nowhere to launch them. This detail makes the segment paradoxical. Threat and futility are expressed simultaneously. Thus, Russian television sells viewers moral superiority. The West makes senseless moves out of malice, while Russia acts rationally. And this is the main goal, not to convince, but to console, to create the feeling that in the chaos of the world, Russia remains the only country that understands how things work. 5. Trump as a figure of hope. Donald Trump occupies a special place. He is presented not as part of American politics, but as an almost prophetic figure, a friend of Erdogan, a man respected by Putin, a strong man among the strong. Through Trump, viewers are encouraged to believe that a peace is possible, where Moscow and Washington once again resolve matters directly, without European mediation and without Ukrainian noise. When pundits on air suggest giving Trump the Nobel Peace Prize to sway him to the right decision, they're not joking. It's a formula. Anything can be bought, even peace. This was the program Empire of Lies. See you soon.